So the big ideas basically of this chapter is that the base 10 place values system basically goes in two directions from the decimal. There's still a 10-to-1 ratio in between, but the numbers on the left represent whole numbers. The numbers or the digits on the right represent parts of a number. The next big idea basically tells us how the decimals are read and the values that they hold. It depends upon their position. The ones to the left, as we've already studied, go from ones, tens, and hundreds, but going to the right is tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. So this particular number would be read 273 and 468 thousandths. The next big idea tells us that decimal fractions are simply another way of writing fractions. They both have values, and there is an equivalent for each decimal and fraction. So what are decimals? Well, they're just simply another way to write fractions. So we need to make sure that we use models and a problem-solving approach to have students connect those familiar fractions like halves, thirds, fourths, fifths, and eighths so that they see what the fraction is, what the decimal is, and then put a visual to that. Now, percents are just another way to show equivalence between fractions and decimals. I put a common equivalent chart here on the right for you to see, and you probably know these pretty well, but students need to really memorize a few of them. Your one, your third, fourth, half, 2/3, 3/4, those are very common, and children need to connect these equivalents between fractions, decimals, and percents. So we should really involve our students in real problems for a very long time. And we only want to use familiar percentages, familiar fractions, and familiar decimals at first, because we want them to get very used to working with these and comfortable. So you also want to use, like I said before, realistic language and real-world problems. You could, a lot of these can be found on the internet, but you can certainly look in newspapers, magazine articles, or TV to find some real-world possible problems. But the most important thing you need to do is for them to draw models, because they need to get that visual in their head that these three things are equal: half, 50%, 5/10. So I have for you some videos, there's just two of them, for you to watch on fractions, decimals, and percents. And I think this will really help to show you some ideas for teaching them and to help solidify this concept in your mind.